From the center of the universe, Toronto, Ontario, Canada, this is the SDM Show with your host, Rob Cairns. The SDM Show focuses on business, life, productivity, digital marketing, WordPress, and more. Sit back, relax, grab your favorite drink, and enjoy the show. Here is Rob.
Hey everybody, I'm Rob Cairns. I'm the founder, CEO, and Chief Technologist at Studying Digital Marketing. In today's show, I have Adam McLaughlin with me, and Adam and I are going to talk all about marketing in 2026. Sit back, relax, enjoy the show. This episode is brought to you by All-in-One WP Migration, the most trusted WordPress migration plugin with over 60 million sites served. Whether you are switching hosts, changing domains, or moving to a new server, All-in-One WP Migration makes it one click. Try it for free at WordPress.org or visit servemass.com for pro features. Hey everybody, Rob Cairns here, and today's show, I have friend of the show, Mr. Adam McLaughlin. Hey Adam, how you doing today?
Hey Rob, thank you for having me. I'm enjoying Canadian winter, not Canadian winter, Canadian summer.
Oh, you're funny. At the time of this record, for anybody who doesn't know, yesterday's humidex in Toronto was 46 degrees Celsius. Americans, do your math, but that puts you well over 110. So, it is not winter at all, my friend.
No, not at all. But it is
It
the
is
best
hot.
time to visit Canada.
Yeah, it is hot, 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 hot. Um, excuse me. I thought we'd chat a little bit about marketing today because your Twitter posts lately have been all marketing this and marketing that, right? And we were just kind of chatting, but no, that's not a bad thing. I think most people who do work in the web world are not good marketers. I will tell you that now. Uh, Most software developers could market themselves out of a brown paper bag, if I want to put that. I mean, I make no bones. Um, and we were just talking about that you're jumping into trying to do some marketing in the hospitality industry. So let's start with what is the number one thing that hospitality companies do not get with their marketing? Let's go there.
Yeah, so I think the thing that I'm seeing most frequently is wondering if anybody cares about the details, right? And so I often joke if I had a tattoo on my forehead, it would say consistency builds trust. And for anybody who's just listening, I don't have a tattoo on my forehead, but that's
Yeah.
how important I feel consistency is. And every little piece of the experience, the pen that somebody signs their name with, the welcome mat, how clean are the windows, what words do you use when you answer the phone? Every tiny little piece points to your brand and gives
Yeah.
people an impression of your brand. And I think that some people think, oh, you know what, the welcome mat doesn't really matter, or, I'll get to the windows when I get to the windows, or, just use this pen to sign your name. And I think that that's true, not just in the hospitality world, but I think that's true across the board as far as what is the issue or what is the thing that people get wrong with their marketing, whether they're an army of one solopreneur, entrepreneur, or whether it's
Yep.
a team or whether it's an agency or whether it's corporation. I think it's really figuring out what is that thing you want to be known for as a brand and building every piece of your client interaction through that thing.
Yeah, I would agree with you. And it's little things. Like, let me tell you a story, and I'm not going to name the hotel chain for a number of reasons and you know why. I checked into a hotel in Niagara Falls 2 weekends ago, on Saturday, and I don't drive, so my partner drives, and I should know her license plate number off the top of my head, but I don't. The reality is I can tell you what the first four letters are, and then the next three digits, I can't tell you. And she wasn't with me. She went to get something. To go to check in, and I looked at the gate, the lady at the gate, and I said, "I'm really sorry." And I have it on my phone as a photo, but my phone was being stupid, so Google Photos wasn't coming up. The other place I have it is in a green key app, which is a parking app. It didn't want to come up, so I had to reboot my phone. And the lady at the desk looks at me and says, "Well, can you go check what it is after, and then give it to me when you come back in?" Not a problem. So that's number one. And you say, "What does this have to do with marketing?" I say everything. Okay, it's experience. So that gets taken care of. And she's like, "Can you think of anything else you need?" And I said, "Yeah, I'm going to tell you two things I need right away. I need extra pillows before I even look, because Tiz always sleeps with extra pillows on her bed, and there's never enough. And I said, you might as well send me the double amount of towels I need, because I know what Tiz is like when we travel together, and that's just, I'm going to end up making that call." And she said to me, "Are you in a rush for them?" I said, "No, we're going out for dinner and we're going to a show. So if you want to get housekeeping to leave them on the bed, great." So what do? We go out for dinner, go to a show. The lady, as I walk back in, the same clerk is working the desk. He looks at me and says, "Sir, by the way, just so you know, we left the items you requested on your bed, and we already took care of it, and it's all taken care of. Thank you very much." And not only did they leave them on the bed, the housekeeper left a note, whoever dropped them off, saying, "By the way, if you need anything else, please call." Left a note right on top. Right? So right away, they've done follow-up. They've done what I asked. They've been consistent. You see where I'm going with this, right?
Yeah.
And people say this is service, but I would argue that service is part of marketing. And there you go.
Yeah, I mean, I would agree with that also. And I think that
Yeah.
we have to have this perception that if nobody's going to argue with us when you and I both agree that word of mouth is the best form of advertising. And so
No question.
how do we get somebody to say good things about our brand? We create a consistent experience, because if I'm going to recommend a hotel to somebody who's visiting Niagara Falls, or I'm going to recommend a restaurant to somebody who's visiting my hometown, I'm putting my credibility on the line by making a recommendation. Because if
No
that
question.
experience goes poorly, they're going to come back and it's going to reflect poorly on me. So, in order for me to want to make a recommendation, I have to trust the brand I'm recommending, right?
Yep.
And that doesn't mean I've had a perfect experience with that brand every time. It means that the brand's always made it right if something went wrong, right?
Exactly. Bingo.
And it also means that I have an idea of what the brand is trying to stand for. So a family-friendly hotel that has a black tie only restaurant is going to create a conflict in my head,
Yep.
right? A couple's getaway hotel that has day passes so that kids can come in and splash around in the pool, that's also going to create a conflict in my head,
Yep.
right? And I'm not going to recommend either of those hotels, because you can't take your family to the couple's getaway hotel, but I'm not going to recommend that to a couple because the pool's always noisy with kids who come on a day pass.
Exactly. And it's all about how they deal with stuff. So I'll give you one more. I was just sharing with you. We're recording this the day after Canada Day. And normally I don't put dates in shows, but we went out um yesterday, kids and I, for Portuguese chicken to a new place we hadn't tried. Somebody at our work had recommended to us. He's been bugging us to go and go and go. Well, the food was A1. And what happened was, halfway through the meal, the waitress just slid on a little card, a plastic card, saying, "Please do us a Google review," right on the table. What a smart move, because you and I both know most companies don't get reviews because they don't do the number one full call. They don't ask.
Right.
They don't ask.
Yep.
And I said to the waitress, "I don't need that reminder." And she said, "Oh, can I ask why?" I said, "Yeah, first of all, I'm a digital marketer. That's what I do. So I know the value. Second of all, I have an Android phone. And on the Android phone, I have the Google Guide service turned on. And I don't know how much you know on the Android phone. That basically asks me to review everywhere I've been.
Mm.
So I had a reminder already set on my phone saying, by the way, you've been here. Would you rate it, please?" So, and I always do, whether it's good or bad, because I think it's really important. Most people can't be bothered. Customer comment forms, the old traditional boxes at the front of the restaurants or
Yep.
the hotels. I call those customer bitch boxes in those words. Yeah, I do. Because 90% of the world, Adam, never fills one out unless they have a complaint.
Right. Yeah, it's exactly true. And
Yeah.
the problem or the thing that we need to be aware of is that as the brand or as, marketers working for the brand, people are more interested in telling a story that's negative
Mhm.
because it gives them something to talk about at their dinner party about, you'll never believe what happened to me. But if you can give them a you'll never believe what happened to me that's a positive experience, they'll tell that at the dinner party too.
Yeah, it's true. And it doesn't take much. Now, let's establish, I'm going to use restaurants because that's
Sure.
part of this, but it's or hotels would work. There is a big difference in Canada for walking into a Swiss chalet or a cake, okay, or a top steakhouse or an independent steakhouse. So I'll tell you now, right away, I expect a different level of service when I walk into a higher end restaurant. I can tell you that now. That's what I'm paying for. I'm paying
Right.
for ambiance. I'm paying for service. And I don't know if I've ever shared with you, my go to for special events is restaurants with a view.
Ah, okay.
So, what does that mean? In the Toronto area, it means Restaurant 360 at the top of the CN Tower, the restaurant at the top of the Harbor Castle Weston in the at the waterfront,
Yep.
Canoe, which is on like the 45th floor. In Niagara Falls, it means dinner at the Skyline Tower in Niagara
Right.
Falls, and so on and so on and so on. Now, why do I like those restaurants? It's not just about the food. It's about the service. It's about the experience. Because in the
Yep.
hospitality industry, you're buying experiences 100%.
Right.
But I also know if I'm walking into a mom and pop restaurant in Canada, Swiss Chalet, a Kelsey's, even like a Jack Astor's, they're at a different level, but I still expect good service. I just don't expect all the ambiance. You have to be realistic that goes with it too.
Right. Yeah, I agree with you. And McDonald's could put a location in any one of the spots that you mentioned, and it wouldn't change the view, but it would change the expectations
Yes,
because the brand McDonald's is different from the brand Ruth Chris Steakhouse, right?
yes,
And so that's something we have to realize is we can't just say this is our brand and this is who we want to be, and all of a sudden people think McDonald's is premium because McDonald's started saying we're premium because we all know they're
no,
not, right?
no, it's not.
But it doesn't
So
hurt McDonald's business because McDonald's is consistent. So my
yeah,
kids insist on ordering a Big Mac wherever we go in the world. And we've been to 24 countries and counting, and I'm sure we've been to 20 different McDonald's in different countries. Why? Because the Big Mac always tastes the same. We could
exactly.
walk past a burger restaurant. That burger might be way better than a Big Mac, but it also might be way worse than a Big Mac. We really don't know. But the reason my kids want to choose McDonald's is because consistency has built trust with them. And
Yep.
that's essentially why clients choose brands.
Yeah, it's so true. I mean, the fast food industry, even more than the sit down higher end industry, is so in that. Like, I don't know about you, but I might be looking for something to eat. We did it going out to Niagara Falls, and Liz said to me, "What are you feeling like?" I said, "I want a quick hamburger." And she
Yeah,
said, "Where?" And the words out of my mouth were A&W right
sure.
away. Again, because I know when I walk into that A&W, why do we all in Canada go to Tim Hortons? Because we know what the coffee's like walking in.
Right.
We know exactly how it's going to be. We know
Yep.
exactly how the sandwich I'm going to take to go is going to be. That's why. You're
Yep.
absolutely right. Now, high-end restaurants are a different ballgame. So,
Mhm.
I always share with people, and people say I'm a hospitality snob because I work in the industry. And I said, no, not really. I'm just very particular. And
Sure.
I know that. The older I've gotten, the less I'm willing to deal with what I dealt with when I was 30. I mean, when I was 25 and 30, I took bus tours all over North America. Now I fly first class. This is good. But you know what I'm saying? Like the
Yeah.
expectation changes. And next Saturday, not next Saturday, a week yesterday, next Wednesday, I'm going for dinner. And I don't know, do you know Barbarian Steakhouse in Toronto on Elm
No.
Street? Um, all I can say is pack your credit card and make sure it's got money on it. It's one of those. And I'm not saying that to boast, but I know walking in there, my expectation level is totally different than if I walk into even a cake. I'll tell you now it is
Sure.
because of exactly that reason.
Yeah, absolutely. And it's not that one's better than the other, but the
No,
interesting thing is that consistency often wins over quality. Like I can tell you that I imagine in within walking distance of my house, there's three Tim Hortons, but there's also a number of coffee shops. And some of them are going to be better quality coffee than a Tim Hortons, and some of them are going to be poor quality coffee than a Tim Hortons. But why do we choose Tim Hortons still? Because we know the consistency,
yeah,
right? And this is the reality. It's like, the same with Starbucks. So now we can compare Tim Hortons and Starbucks because you're going to get the same consistency Starbucks to Starbucks and the same consistency Tim Hortons to Tim Hortons. So I'm looking for something more premium. I'm going to choose Starbucks. And
yeah,
if I'm looking for something, quick and easy and a box of, donut holes, Timbits for my kids, then I'm going to choose Tim Hortons. And so the conversation is like consistency is the baseline playing field, and then on top of that we can talk about preferences. But until you can hand somebody reliable consistency, like we've got a coffee shop in town here,
yeah,
and if I go and I order a latte, sometimes I get a biscotti on the side. Sometimes I
yeah,
get it in a stay here cup. Sometimes I get it in a to-go cup, even though I'm staying here. Sometimes I get 3 scoops of ice. Sometimes I get 5 scoops of ice. Sometimes I get, half a scoop of ice. And the inconsistency is really like I'm not going to go recommend that because I don't know what the person I recommend it to is going to receive,
yeah,
right? So I don't mind rolling the dice on it. It's a nice ambience. It's a great place to get some work done. Um, but baseline is consistency, and on top of that, we build our brand.
yeah. And the experience helps build the brand too.
Sure.
And so let me take one out of the hospitality industry. Um, don't know if you know, but one of my hobbies is autograph collecting. I've been an
Okay.
autograph collector for years, sports autograph collecting. And people say, why do you want that signature? And I always say to people, it's not the signature, it's the story behind. It's
Sure.
the it's did I go to a show and did I meet that athlete? How was that interaction like? One of the most expensive shows I ever spent money on was out at the Toronto airport, out at the International Center, at the big sports card show. And the legendary Bill Montana was in there. And quarterback for San Francisco, Hall of Famer, done it all. And what was the experience? Joe Montana takes a football and throws you a 30-yard pass. Then he takes the football he threw you and he signs it. And then he poses for pictures and does all the other things.
Yeah.
It's not about the Joe Montana signature. It's about I took a pass from Joe Montana at a sports show,
Sure.
and that's what it's about. Go to rock concerts. We saw Coldplay awesome at Rogers Stadium in Downsview in Toronto. The best show I've ever seen. And you know what that was about? It was about the experience. It was more than the music.
Right.
I've seen Jan Arden every year for the last 5 years. It's tis of my thing. And I was telling you before we went there, we just saw Niagara Falls, the best we've ever seen her. It's about the experience.
Yeah.
It's have you ever gone into a store and looked for help and said to somebody, I need help, and they run away and hide? We've all seen that, right?
Sure.
Yes, guess what? I'm not going back to that store. And I don't care if it's a multinational chain. I won't go back. I am so done with if I'm going to do that, I might as well jump on Amazon and do my orders. I don't have to talk to anybody. It
Yeah.
does.
Yeah, and consistency matters not just in the hospitality, although those are the examples we're giving, but
Yeah.
if you have a web design agency and you want to be known as a premium web designer in your industry, but you've got a crappy looking logo, or you send out invoices that are, an Excel spreadsheet instead of something with QuickBooks or FreshBooks, or all, your emails have typos in them, or your quotes have typos
Yeah.
in them, or, all these things are part of that consistency that reflects on your brand, right? If you're a plumber, how do you clean up the job? How do you pull into the driveway? Do you run over the lawn on the way into the driveway? And how do you answer the phone? How do you send an invoice? All those things are pieces of the consistency. If you have an e-commerce brand, what is your packaging like? What is your thank you email? What is your follow-up email? How do you ask for reviews? How do you ask for feedback on the product? How do you try to upsell? What does your website design look like? All those things are
Yeah.
pieces of the puzzle that build consistency, and people have to trust you in order to make a purchase. I don't stop for a barber that I don't trust. I wouldn't buy a tube of toothpaste if the package looked like I
Yeah.
wouldn't trust it.
Boom.
And then up
Boom.
from there, a website, a car, a renovation, a house. I'm not buying something I don't trust, and I'm not buying from somebody I don't trust. So whatever you want your brand to be about, the consistency is what builds that trust.
Yeah. And if you get what you want, the cost isn't an issue. So I have a barber that I love in Mississauga. I don't do it here in Markham. And by my friend's place. And believe it or not, he charges me $30 for a haircut. And if you watch the video, Rob doesn't have much hair. And my mother always says to me, "Are you out of your coffin picking lines?" I said, "No." And she said, "Why?" I said, "Because he knows what I like. He gets it right. He gets it done quickly and efficiently. And most importantly, my partner in life is happy with the way my hair looks. Even more to me, more." And she's Italian, and Italians are fashion condoms. I'll tell you that now. I don't know if you know that, but they are. And so my mom and I said, "You know what it is, Mom? It's about perceived value. I spend $30 and I'm not pissed off. I go into a cheap $15 place, I'm going to come out mad." And that's the difference. So we also got to realize that perceived value also goes with the consistency, and everything else is part of the customer journey too.
Right. And that $15 haircut might be as good as the $30 one in some cases, but also it might be terrible. And that's where you're rolling the dice, right?
That's right.
And that's
Yeah.
why consistency matters, and willing to pay for consistency, willing to go out of the way for consistency, willing to spend more time to achieve that consistency. All
Yeah.
of those things are an important piece of a brand.
And it's like when people take care of you. So I'll give you a couple more examples. And I'm throwing a lot out there today, but I love this conversation. I have a pharmacist locally. He's with Guardian in Markham. He's wonderful. He knows all his clients. He knows all their backstories. My mom uses the same pharmacist. He knows my family. He knows my aunt. He knows us. He knows what my family's gone through with the loss of my brother lately. He knows it all. Okay. The best way I describe Matthew is he's a small time pharmacist in a big city. He's got that old school
Yeah.
flair to him. And I've told him this. And I walked in the other day, the store wasn't busy at all, and he was actually calm. And I sat and talked for 20 minutes. And I'm going to tell you what, none of it was diabetes, which is what I go pick meds up for. Believe it or
Yep.
not, and none of it was my brother, because he knew that story. It was all about what's going on in the world of Formula One racing and how's life and where are you and Tiz off to this summer. That's what and and that's what makes it different. And that I was looking at my email this morning, and he wrote me this really sweet email saying, "I'm just glad you're doing well, and I'm glad we caught up." And
Right.
what does that take? What does that take?
Yeah. Yeah, and the interesting thing is, so, as a baseline, there
Yeah.
are things we have to do properly for our business. You know, the pharmacist has to, as could be the nicest guy and follow up and have great conversations, but if he hands you the wrong prescription every time you go, you might switch pharmacists and just stop
Yep.
in for a visit once in a while, right? So as a baseline, we do have to hit those minimums, right? And a lot of people think, well, hitting the minimums is my brand. And it's like, well, that's not going to cut it. You know, as a pharmacist, filling an order properly is not a brand. That's a job requirement, right? You know,
Yep.
as a hotel, having clean bedding is not a brand. That's a job requirement. As a web designer, returning emails is not a brand. That's a bare minimum, you
Yep.
know? And I think a lot of people in that world, you know, web design specifically, um, are seeing this progression with AI and thinking, well, you know, my industry's gone now. You know, I might as well go take up farming or something. But, you know, when we switch from HTML, everything coded to WordPress, it was like, oh, anybody can build a website. The industry's over.
Yeah.
And then we
Yeah.
switch from, you know, and then all of a sudden page builders. And the conversation is now, oh, there goes my industry. Anybody could build a website. And then we did like AI integration into page builders. It's like, oh, there goes the industry. Anybody could build my website.
Yep.
But
Yep.
building the website, that's the baseline,
Yes.
right? Build your brand on top of that. Build your expertise. You know, I know what you need to add to your website. I know what you need to do to your website. You know,
Mhm.
just having a website checking a box is a concern that a lot of business owners have, but that's not a brand, right?
Yep.
A brand is not I build websites for whatever, dentists. It's I help dentists achieve more bookings. It's not, you know, I build websites for restaurants. It's I help restaurants bring in more reservations.
Yep.
It's not I build websites for plumbers. It's I help plumbers book bigger jobs than they've ever booked before.
Yep. I
And
agree.
the
One
strategy piece is where your agency now sits on top of I can build a website as in 30 seconds, but it doesn't generate me any business. But it looks pretty and it was with AI and it was cheap.
who cares? Who cares? Who cares?
Right.
I hate to put it that way. Who cares? And the other problem too is we were talking about, and you and I have talked about, I've certainly talked about it on this show. AI has complicated the whole security side of the business. Being my strongest point, I'm chasing security problems every day right now because there's
Right.
so much going on out there. And what people haven't realized is you can get your AI to build. So I won't name the name, but there was a well-known WordPress person that figured they were going to vibe code their CMS, all of it. They did. How long do you think it took before that CMS was done?
Oh, tell me.
How about less than a week?
Ooh, yikes.
Well, you can do whatever you want, but at
Right.
what cost to you?
Right.
And it comes back to the people who DIY their websites. I've been saying for years, to do that, that's fine. I
Yeah.
looked at one recently that was DIY. The images were too big. There was multiple caching plugins installed. Multiple. I won't even tell you how many. Um, there was all kinds of stuff going on under the hood. It looked pretty, but there
Right.
was stuff that had to be cleaned up.
Right. Yeah.
And
So I think,
that's the difference.
yeah. Yeah, I agree with you to emphasize it's about, you know, if you are just building websites in order to check a box for a client to say they have a website, you're going out of business. But if you are building a marketing strategy and a website is one of the tools, then you need to learn some of the other tools to put in your toolbox, or you need to learn who is the expert that you can subcontract those tools to in order to
Yeah.
build the marketing strategy. You really need a toolbox. It would be like a carpenter stopped working with wood when they came out with an electric drill because now it doesn't take 3 hours to drill X hole. It now takes 3 minutes,
Yeah.
right? It's like, no, that's a tool in your toolbox. And so if all you're doing is building websites and making them live and handing them over to clients, yeah, you might be out of business. But if
Yeah.
you are willing to take a look at the marketing strategy as a whole, there's so much opportunity right now.
There is, and one of the places your marketing strategy starts, and it's not even your website, it's your email list. We've all heard the phrase, the money is in the list.
Yep.
I believe in that so heartedly that I've done a soft launch and I'm going to ramp it up next week. All my security care plans now have the ability with inside them, if the client chooses, to send to their email list within WordPress automatically.
Wow.
Yeah. And
Cool.
the reason is most people say, oh, the younger generation doesn't read emails. Well, dear sir, they still read emails. Um, they read emails. There's a reason emailing works. And I don't care if you're doing traditional emails using an email platform like ConvertKit or Groundhog or Choose Your Poison, or if you do a little more and get into an email community like Substack or one of those, they have
Yep.
their places, but people are still reading email.
Yeah, and for some brands, yeah, like you said, the we talk about how the values in having a list, right? And for some brands, that list could be a text message list. For some brands, that could be a WhatsApp list. For some brands, that could be, you know, having even a traditional, real, put it in the mailbox hard list, right? And so it's interesting that there isn't necessarily a one size fits all, but you do need to be building a list, right?
No question.
And
No
and I
question.
think email is really, for 95% of clients, email is still the best solution.
Yeah. Yeah. And then I think it's important in your marketing to look at ways, especially in the days of AI, to be authentic.
Yeah.
It's one reason why I do this podcast, Adam. I've been doing this podcast since AI was big, and I'm into my 6th year. I started in 2020. Okay. But, and I don't, as you know, I don't do a lot of hard editing on the show like a lot of people because I like it to come across as unscripted and authentic. And
Yeah.
I think in the days of I think there's something missing in that too.
Yeah, there's a natural feel. So it's kind of like in my world, it might be like jazz or rock guitar solo or something. And it's
Yeah.
like we know this is the intro to the song, we know this is the verse, we know this is the chorus, and then we go into a section where there's a solo, right? And we've practiced this over and over and over. Now the solo may not seem the same every time. The solo could
Mm.
be authentic. The guitarist is in a good mood, it sounds like a fast, excited solo, or the guitarist is, having a bad day and all of a sudden it sounds like a metalish sort of
Yep. Yep.
droning solo, but that's authentic, but it's in a structured way that still says this is our brand, right? So for Canada Day, we had Kim Mitchell here at the park, and the songs that Kim Mitchell played were Kim Mitchell songs. I know that's surprising. Even if his authentic self felt like playing Britney Spears songs that day, that's
Did you
not
go,
what he presented. That would not be on brand. All
did you
right.
go did you go and watch the whole show with Kim?
We did. Yeah, start to
He's
finish.
great. He's great. I saw him years ago when he first went on his own up at Canada's Wonderland at the old Kingswood.
Yeah,
He's played the national exhibition in Toronto a couple times. He's great, and
right.
he and I know again trusting. I know when I walk into a Kim Mitchell show what I'm going to get. I know
Yep.
when I go and I watch a Jan Arden show exactly what I'm going to get. One
Yep.
of the things about a Jan Arden show is if the ticket says 8 o'clock and you're in your seat at 8:01, you've missed the first minute of that show. I guarantee it.
Yep.
And I can almost tell you how she wraps up her show. I've seen her that I know what to expect. Like,
Yeah, exactly. And the
yeah.
interesting thing is sometimes the word authentic gets masqueraded as casual, unprepared, you
Oh,
know. You know what I mean? Like, oh no, we're being authentic. We haven't even practiced our script. We haven't even just answer the phone however you'd like. Answer your phone how you're feeling authentically today. Well, that's going to get one person going, "Hi, what do you want?" And one person saying like, "Hello, thank you for calling such and such a brand. We're happy you called us," right? Because however you're feeling, if that's
Yeah,
authentic,
yeah,
and there's a difference between authenticity that properly reflects your brand and
yeah,
laziness, flexibility, being too casual, being too familiar with your clients. And I think that's an important distinction also.
yeah. It sure is, and I think you got to do that. So we talked about that. We talked about authenticity. Since we're into the branding conversation, let's say that 90% of the rebrands that happen should never happen. They think a rebrand is going to fix the world. It doesn't. A logo does not make a company. Unless you're a McDonald's, a Nike, a Coca-Cola. That's a different ballgame. But most people, a logo does not make the company. Um, the only time I would suggest a rebrand is if there's really some bad stigma attached to that name. It might be worth trying. I'm not a fan of rebrands. I am a fan of fixing my marketing and doing what I should be doing.
Yeah, I agree with you. And I think sometimes we, as you said, I think we sometimes we look at the big players and we
Yeah,
see how they play. And it's not that those rules don't apply to your three location coffee shop in a small town in Canada. Or those rules don't apply to your plumbing business. Those rules don't apply to your web agency with 25 clients, right? Like you can't play like your Google. Like Google on google.com, they can change their logo every single day, right?
yeah,
If you do that to your logo every single day, people are just going to think they found the wrong spot when they actually have properly found you because you have to be so established in order to play with the rules, right?
yeah,
And I think for a lot of brands, what would be much better is just figure out what do we want people to say about us? That's branding, right? How are we going to create an experience that makes them say that thing? That's marketing. And then
mhm,
advertising is telling them what to expect. So if your
yeah,
branding is you're the fastest plumber in town, then your marketing is how people experience you is you answer the phone after one ring and you're at their house in 30 minutes or less, right? So that's the marketing, that's the experience, that's what they're going to tell their friends about you. And then your
yeah.
advertising, your radio ad or your Facebook ad or on the side of your truck, you can say, "We're the fastest plumber in Smallville." So your advertising points to your experience, tell people what to expect. And your experience, your marketing points them to their branding, what you want
No
them to tell
question.
their friends.
No question. Now, I'm gonna go down a road with you. Your boys are not around, but you need to tell them next time you talk to them that McDonald's is not a hamburger company and see what they say to you.
Yes, I have had that conversation. We do have the
The,
conversation. They are
the
a real estate
real
company.
estate company. Thank
Yeah,
you.
and here's a fun one. Starbucks is not a coffee company. Starbucks is a financial institution.
Yeah, I knew that. Yep.
Because Starbucks has so much money on gift cards. So for the listeners, let me break this down so it doesn't just sound cryptic. Uh,
Yep.
if somebody buys $100 gift card to Starbucks, Starbucks knows in order to honor $100 worth of spending, they have a wholesale price and a retail price, right?
Yep.
So their wholesale cost into that $100, for instance, is only $20. The rest was the retail price. Okay.
Yeah.
So they've got $20 worth of coffee and pastries they have to hold on to because that's going to cost them money. But on that $100 gift card, you just gave them $80 to play with however they want to, right?
Hmm.
And they hold something like, oh, I'd have to Google it or ask whoever. They hold something like $1 billion in Starbucks gift cards. Now, knowing that they have an 80% margin and they hold $1 billion in Starbucks gift cards means that even if nobody shows up with that gift card, or between now and the time somebody shows up with that gift card, they can spend that 80% however they want. And that's how they can get, that's how they can take a flat piece of land and be making, generating a profit with a fully staffed location in 3 months.
You know who plays that game on gift cards is Costco. Very much so. You
Mm,
walk into a Costco store and they say, oh, by the way, we'll sell you that $100 in gift cards for 79.99. So they're discounting them already. And
right.
it's the same margin. Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly.
Yeah, exactly. It's wild. And so for us to say, okay, I've got three coffee locations. I want to play the same marketing game as Starbucks, right? Like, let's
Mhm.
just sell gift cards. It's like, okay. I think you should sell gift cards, but I don't think your expectation should be, I'm going to sell $4 million worth of gift cards every single day, and I'm going to start using the profit to put up locations the way Starbucks does, right? And so you
Yeah.
also can't do like I had a client and he was a mechanic and he wanted to get some random number of letters and numbers as a domain name and put .com on the end. Like six, I won't say what it was. It was six random numbers and letters and put .com on the end and put it on the back of a shirt so that when somebody saw the shirt, in his mind, he was thinking, oh, they'll say, huh, I wonder what that is. And then they'll pull it up on their phone and it would be an advertisement or a coupon for their business. And I thought the weird, let me figure out what that is not a marketing strategy. But it's amazing how many people try this, right? So a coffee company registers abc123.com and puts it on the side of their cup. They're like, well, people are going to go to it because they're curious to find out about it. It's like,
But that's the old Yellow Pages strategy.
oh
All
yeah,
these companies had one in front to get to the higher, then it was
yeah,
1 1, then it was 1 1 1, and
yeah.
then
Or double A plumbing. Be like, why are you AA plumbing? Oh, because it got me to the top of the listing on Yellow
yep,
Pages.
that's an old
Right.
talk
Or
about keyword stuffing at its best,
right.
my friend, right?
Or why is your restaurant called Thai restaurant near me? It's like,
You know,
well,
you,
that's
you
the,
know what?
that's the new version.
You know, it's funny. I'm gonna go here too, just because it came up, and I'm thinking. Everybody blames the demise of Yellow Pages because of the demise of payphones. I
Mm.
would actually suggest, at the risk of getting hate mail, and I'm going to, one of the biggest demise of Yellow Pages is because of the demise of illicit sex trade ads in the Yellow Pages because they've all gone online. And if you ever remember the old Yellow Pages in a major city, the middle of it was all escort and massage therapists. Yeah,
Oh, I had no idea.
yeah,
I just thought it was Yellow Pages refused to adapt as people were no longer
yeah.
looking up phone numbers,
No,
the same that
the big,
Blockbuster refused to
the
adapt and
big,
Kodak refused to adapt and
the businesses adapted. And I mean, I don't remember the last time I used a phone book or even tried. I walked to a store the other day with a friend and I pointed and said, the hell's that payphone doing there? And you and I both come from an age where we were going to pick them up. And at the end, it's nice and nice in them, right? And so you go home on the stores. So I'm going to be late. See you in here. Wow, I reached for the silver in my hand and say,
yeah, it's the world has changed. It's an interesting world.
yes. Um, so let's speak. What's this the worst story? People think if I change my post somewhere, somewhere, that's what it is. So, I mean, it's not really, you know, I'm not sure McDonald's would go there. That's the
Yeah, I'm really sorry, Rob. I'm losing you.
thing. I was going to say, it's not marketing, was what I was saying to you.
Ah, okay. You're back now. Try again. Let's try that question
I
again.
said, I said colors is not marketing. It's just fluff to make it look pretty, right? It's not really marketing your business per se.
Yeah, neither is having a website marketing. Neither is I post on Facebook marketing. Neither is I asked you for a Google review marketing. Marketing is the entire experience built up of all those touch points working together.
Yeah. And I would say if somebody doesn't believe that, they should pick up the phone and call you and say, let's sit down and work out a strategy. Because most small businesses don't have one. They don't even have a marketing budget, let alone a strategy to do it. So I get calls all the time, and I say, "What's your budget?" Not because I'm trying to highball. I want to know, do they have money in the game? Oh, I don't know. Oh,
Yeah.
then why are we having this conversation?
Yeah, it's a real challenge, and I think that there is, for instance, one of the first things that I do with a new client is I have them list out all of their touch points. So what are all of the things a client interacts with your brand between the point of they find out about you, right? The know, like, and trust funnel.
Yeah.
So like,
Yep.
let's say that they find out about you on Facebook and they get to know you, right? And they see more of you on Twitter and they get to like you. And then eventually they get to your website, they see your products and they trust you, so they make a purchase. And most businesses would tell me they have 15 to 20 touch points, whereas reality, most businesses have almost 100, right? And an in-person business, like a retail store or somewhere you're going to experience in person, a restaurant, a hotel, a hospitality brand, you're talking about like you could go through a couple hundred touch points in a 24-hour visit.
Yeah, it's true.
And if all of those touch points, if any of those touch points aren't lined up through the filter of what do you want people to say about your brand, it starts to erode their trust. Now, not any one touch point is going to ruin their experience, but
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 collectively,
yes, collectively, or how you handle a touch point. You can't have in your employee manual, if somebody walks in your front door, twists a leg, trips over and lands on top of their birthday cake, what do you do? Right? But what you can tell your employees, or what you can tell the people who represent your brand, or what you can do yourself if you're an entrepreneur, solo entrepreneur, is you can always say, okay, I have to make a decision. What are the filters I want to make all of my decisions through? So when I
yeah,
handle this, it comes off consistently with the other decisions that I've made intentionally.
so true. So true. Hey, Adam, love this conversation. We need to have some more. Not so long next time. That's all.
Yeah.
If somebody wants to find out more about projects or what you're doing, it's the best website these days.
Yeah, the best way to track me down is trustmarketingagency.com.
Okay. Thanks, Adam. Have an awesome day. Enjoy.
Thanks for having me, Rob.
Yes. Thanks again to our sponsor, All-in-One WP Migration by ServeMask. Export your entire WordPress site in one click, import it anywhere. No server access needed, no command line, works with every hosting provider. Free on WordPress.org, for extension at servemask.com. Very special thank you to Adam for joining me on this edition of the SDM Show. The SDM Show is dedicated to my late father, Bruce Cairns. Dad, I miss you very much every day. My mother, Ann Cairns, who's still doing really well and is an inspiration. And of course, Tiz Maroney. And Tiz, I know I've said it, but thank you so much for all the inspiration you give me every day.